Am I the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's fan in the world? Nope. But, did I see the first film? Yes. Did I like it? No. But, I could understand why others did. So, I just saw the second film. Did I like it? Nope. But this time, I can't understand why others seem to like it.
Scott Cawthon sent the FNAF community into chaos with one short message that spread faster than the movie's bad reviews. Fans saw a line that looked like a direct hit at them instead of the studio. Screenshots tore through Reddit and TikTok as people claimed Scott turned on the audience that built the franchise. Within minutes, his comment overtook the entire meltdown. No one expected the creator, who stayed mostly silent, to strike back. The backlash around FNAF 2 was already explosive, but his message pushed it further. Arguments erupted non-stop as attention shifted from the film to Scott himself. Every platform treated his sentence like breaking news.
But yeah, look at this. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is overall terrible. I mean, it's just non-stop of like these critics saying this movie stinks. Like, it is the worst thing. Why did I waste my time? It goes on and on.
For years, Scott guarded FNAF from outside pressure. Yet this backlash targeted him directly. His message felt sharp and personal, colder than his usual tone, which made reactions surge even faster. Fans treated it as proof he finally reached his limit. But the truth behind that sentence ran deeper than the screenshot. What drove him to post wasn't anger at fans, but months of pressure and frustration. To understand why his words hit so hard, we need to look at the collapse, the tension, and the moment that pushed him past his breaking point.
And unfortunately, I simply don't think that that's the movie that they delivered. It just kind of felt like an empty film. That there just wasn't much there at all on any level.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2 arrived with massive expectations after years of hype. Fans believed this sequel would finally deliver the darker story they waited for, yet the reaction shifted within hours. Viewers left theaters confused by pacing and lore changes that didn't match anything they knew. Disappointment spread fast. Online reactions turned the collapse into a storm. People questioned the tone and hollow plot, while posts poured in asking how a sequel this hyped could feel so empty. It wasn't slow backlash, it was instant eruption across the entire fanbase. Critics attacked the film, but fans were harsher. They shared clips calling the movie unfocused and stripped of heart. Many didn't just blame the studio. They pointed at Scott despite him not shaping most of the final cut. His silence made speculation grow louder. Pressure built as frustration exploded across every platform. The film's fall needed a target, and Scott became the center of it. Fans demanded answers while the studio stayed quiet. That silence pushed tension toward a breaking point and set the stage for what came next. Months before release, fans treated FNAF 2 like the sequel that would redeem everything. The trailer hit trending as people paused every frame for clues about lore and new animatronics. Expectations climbed fast, turning small details into signs of a deeper story. Hope replaced caution. Producers pushed promises of a darker tone and faithful world building. Fans trusted every tease because they wanted this sequel to fix the flaws of the first. Each clip was treated like proof the franchise was returning to its roots. Early warning signs appeared, but few paid attention. Insider whispers hinted at disagreements, yet hype drowned them out. Marketing showed tiny inconsistencies that suggested confusion, though most fans brushed them aside. By premiere night, expectations were impossible to reach. When the film failed to match the dream fans created, backlash hit instantly. Hype didn't just raise the bar, it guaranteed a collapse once the truth showed. While fans built theories, Scott watched with growing concern. Reports later revealed he felt shut out of major decisions long before release. He pushed for emotional depth and mystery, while the studio wanted speed and spectacle. His influence faded fast. Story changes kept moving away from what he envisioned. Each shift created more tension behind the scenes, leaving him stuck between protecting his world and watching it drift. Fans never saw that growing divide. When backlash started, people assumed Scott approved everything. They didn't know how much had been changed without his control. Angry posts blamed him for choices he never made, widening the gap between truth and assumptions. His silence made it worse. Without context, fans believed accusations were correct. In reality, Scott carried months of frustration, watching his creation transform into something he barely recognized. Pressure pushed him toward breaking point. The meltdown escalated when influencers posted comparisons, showing how far the movie drifted from core lore. Critics talked pacing, but fans focused on betrayal. They felt the film broke the world Scott created. Their disappointment cut deeper than reviews. Comment sections filled with people blaming Scott. Many thought he approved every change and let the studio twist the story. The narrative spread faster than he could respond. Memes and posts turned him into the symbol of the flop. YouTubers who once defended FNAF shifted tone. Videos questioned why Scott allowed the film to lose its identity. Millions watched breakdowns blaming him for the mess. His silence only intensified frustration. By weekend's end, Scott wasn't just tied to a bad movie. He was portrayed as the one who let fans down. The shift was fast and overwhelming, pushing him toward a moment that would ignite the entire community. The tipping point came when Scott finally broke his silence with a short, sharp message. It wasn't long, but the tone hit harder than any paragraph could. Fans saw a line that looked like he was blaming the audience for expecting too much. That interpretation spread instantly and turned confusion into outrage. Screenshots blasted across TikTok, X, and Reddit within minutes. People argued over the meaning, while some claimed Scott was attacking the community that made FNAF a success. The message became a fire starter, pushing emotions even higher. Nobody agreed on what he actually meant. Creators rushed to post reactions and breakdowns. Some defended him, others accused him of turning on fans. The film's flop had already created tension, but this message sharpened it into something personal. It became the headline of the entire meltdown. In a single moment, Scott's quiet frustration was read as an attack. Whether he intended it or not, the internet had decided its version of the truth. And that version painted him as the creator who snapped under pressure and pointed the blame downward. What fans didn't know was the weight behind that message. Insiders later shared that Scott's line came from exhaustion, not anger at the audience. Months of being blamed for choices he didn't make left him drained. His tone came from frustration, not hostility toward the people who supported him. The message was written during a moment when thousands were directing every flaw toward him. Misinterpretation hit fast because the community was already tense. People were ready to assume the worst. They saw accusation where Scott had meant reflection. The truth was that Scott felt cut out of the creative process long before the movie collapsed. He watched fans attack him while knowing the story on screen wasn't the one he fought to protect. That disconnect fueled the emotional edge in his words. But the internet rarely pauses for context. That single line became a symbol of the meltdown, pushed by edits and reposts that stripped it of nuance. It fed a narrative that Scott had turned on his fans, even though the real frustration was aimed somewhere else. The community split almost immediately. One group insisted Scott had crossed a line and blamed fans for the fallout. They believed his message proved he no longer respected the people who supported him. Their frustration grew fast and loud. The other side argued the opposite. They claimed Scott was overwhelmed, misunderstood, and pushed into a corner. To them, he was reacting to unfair blame rather than attacking the audience. They saw him as a creator worn down by forces he couldn't control. Debates dominated comment sections across platforms. Hashtags formed on both sides as fans fought over what Scott meant. Each new post, each new reaction video added fuel to the divide. The meltdown became a civil war inside the fandom. And beneath it all was a reality no one could ignore. Scott's message didn't just trigger backlash. It forced fans to choose sides in a conflict that had been brewing long before the movie released. The fracture was deep, and it was only growing. Inside the studio, panic hit fast. Scott's message went viral and overshadowed every part of the film's campaign. Executives scrambled as social feeds filled with claims that the creator had turned against fans. The backlash wasn't just hurting reviews, it was damaging the brand they spent years shaping. Merch shipments slowed while promotional plans were paused. The studio didn't want their ads running under a storm they couldn't control. Internal meetings grew tense as leaders argued over who was responsible for letting the situation slip so far. The fallout was bigger than the movie's box office drop. Some executives pushed to distance the company from Scott to protect their image. Others warned that removing him publicly would only inflame fans further. The brand depended heavily on his name, yet his message had become the center of controversy. It was a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. Rumors spread that future projects were on hold until the fire calmed. Some insiders claimed the studio feared long-term damage strong enough to derail the next film entirely. The meltdown wasn't only online anymore, it was hitting their decisions, their budgets, and their plans for what came next. After days of chaos, Scott posted again, this time choosing calm over shock. He wrote a longer message explaining the frustration behind his earlier words. He didn't attack fans. He described months of pressure, loss of control, and the emotional weight of watching his story change without him. The tone was clear and steady. Fans who read the full message realized the truth. His earlier line had been taken out of context and amplified during the meltdown. He wasn't blaming them. He was speaking from a place of exhaustion and disappointment. Supporters rallied behind him and defended his honesty. Creators who had criticized him publicly started softening their tone. Even some who blamed him earlier admitted they didn't know everything happening behind the scenes. The anger toward him began fading as people understood the deeper struggle he faced during production. But the damage to the franchise wasn't gone. Scott's clarification didn't erase the film's problems or the split in the fanbase. It only revealed how complicated the situation had always been, and it set the stage for the question no one could avoid anymore. What happens to FNAF now? The meltdown around FNAF 2 wasn't only about a weak sequel. It exposed the pressure on a creator who carried a world fans loved for years. Scott's first message sparked chaos, but his second revealed the weight behind it. Fans saw a man pushed hard, not someone turning against them. The community realized the collapse didn't fall on one person. It came from miscommunication, studio control, and expectations that grew far beyond what any movie could meet. Scott's honesty shifted the tone and reminded people how much he tried to protect his story. The studio now faced a fractured fanbase and an uncertain future. Rumors spread about halted plans, canceled ideas, and Scott possibly reclaiming control. What started as a sequel turned into a moment that will shape everything ahead. One truth stayed after the storm. FNAF's power came from the bond between creator and fans, not ticket numbers. Scott didn't lose that bond. If anything, the meltdown proved how strong it remains. And whatever comes next, the story returns to the one who built it.